What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about Virgin Galactic, ticker is SPCE. I want to give you a breakdown of some of the data points, what's been coming out from the company, and ultimately what some analysts have been recently doing. So I'm going to go over all that. Make sure as first hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So currently it is down 2.22%, but despite that though, there is a lot of volume. So 3.4 million shares being traded, 8 is the average, and that has been within the first 3 hours of the trading day. There hasn't been any news, no press releases, nothing like that. So it is just more so piggybacking off of the broader market, which is kind of in fear mode right now. But keep in mind, this week is when the window does open. And so that's going to be a fairly good thing in my opinion, and hopefully some good PR as a result of that. But like I mentioned, with the higher volume, there hasn't been any transactions on the secondary market though. So just a lot of lower frequency transactions, if that makes sense. And as far as this, there was only one transaction occurring on the dark pool, and that was for 157,000. When it comes down to dark pool, very much linked to shorting, so I'll give you an overview of that. As of right now, shorts are increasing 352.97 thousand shares, but 21.69% of the free flow is also being shorted. 72.44 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is around 3%. The minimum is 2.73 and the max is 3.54. Under here, this section, so interactive broker short availability, does indicate that there is around 2.4 million shares available to be shorted. So if shorts wanted to double down, they definitely can. But the way I interpret this information, with it being red today and them increasing, they kind of feel like it is justified. So just keep that in mind. As far as options activity, currently there's around $51,000 in calls being purchased versus 76 in puts. So based on this information, people are anticipating for it to trend down, and over and above that, almost about 60% of all the options today are bearish. If you are optimistic though, it is anticipated by this to be at least over the $2 range by the end of this week. If you are negative, it is anticipated to be sub $1.50. So you kind of have both extremes a little bit, but keep in mind, options activity does not move the stock price. It is just merely a sentiment as well. I'm not financial advised. You guys always do your own due diligence. So when it comes down to the short information, it is a little bit more bearish. Options activity is a little bit more bearish, but what analysts have recently done isn't necessarily the most optimistic either. So looking as far as some analyst ratings, last one was a month ago. It was a $3 price target, a sell rating by Trist Financial, Michael, whatever his last name is, 57% success rating. So unfortunately, analysts, like I've said in the past, have never really liked Virgin Galactic at all. But what they have recently done is effective, I guess today is the very first trading day for the new quarter. So all the numbers are locked in for the previous quarter, and it looks like some analysts have turned a little bit more bearish. So as you can see, there is currently 9 analysts with a consensus of negative 43 cents, and that is for the earnings per share. Previously, it was 10, and they did have a consensus of negative 42 cents. So it did go up, meaning some bullish analysts kind of withdrew their estimate. So not necessarily the most optimistic. And when it comes down to revenue for Q3, very, very dismal, but similar nature. It looks like one analyst did withdraw their estimate, and it went from 1.12 million to 1.07 million for the revenue. So 1 million for revenue in Q3 and 4 was very, very poor, or is poor estimates. And that's again coming from the company. So let me know your thoughts on analysts turning a little bit more, I guess, further bearish, if that makes sense. So what's your thoughts overall? And as far as where things might be going, so looking at the technicals with it currently at $1.76, and just quickly looking at the 4 hour, right now it is trading between, it looks like the P and the R1. So $1.73 is the next strong support, vice versa, $1.82 is the next strong resistance. And so of course it's very tight, and it actually did kind of bounce off of this R1 briefly, kind of broke past it a little bit, so high of $1.84, but I do feel just generally there's still a lot of fear in the market right now. And technically, as far as data points coming out, the only thing to really watch for is non-farm payroll, and that's coming out on Friday. So I do feel that the broader market for the most part is going to continue to trend down. So I do feel that realistically it could probably touch the $1.64 at least, more so this week. It won't have a new 52-week and all-time low, which is currently $1.57. I did do videos in the past that as far as the low, all-time low could be around the dollar range, and that's kind of extreme, but unless Virgin Galactic does something from here until the end of Q4, especially with the fear that's going on in the broader market, it unfortunately could be a very realistic option. So once again, let me know your thoughts on all of this. Give yourself a shout out in the comments below if you have been buying, selling, holding. What is your take on Virgin Galactic, and where do you see things going as far as a low? Do you think that it is going to break $1.57, or do you think that is just going to trend up from here? On a side note, if you are looking for a lot of good compiled information such as analyst ratings, forecasts, everything under the sun, take a look at Interactive Brokers, link in the description below and also the comments for all of this to be completely free. So with all that said, appreciate all of you watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with that said, let's eventually down the line, whenever that might be, make a lot of money on Virgin Galactic.